Good morning to you all. I thought it was about time we had a change from telephones and have a look at another selection of oddities that I've picked up over the many years. I was tempted to mention this on one of Andy Shedd's talks on a Sunday. He happened to be given, I think for a repair job, a couple of fountain pens. And he also saying that the value of fountain pens have gone up far more than the value of old telephones. Well, I found this quite hard to believe, but okay. This lot that you see in front of you, I've picked up many years ago through junk shops. I used to love junk shops, never knew what you were going to find. Boot sales, and I suppose to some extent perhaps the old jumble sale, but I can't really remember jumble sales. They were things which tended to happen in my very, very early years. These, as I say, went back quite a few years and were mainly picked up at a sensible price. Well, I mean a sensible price. You look at the box here, there's a Blackbird here. Self-filling pen. It's got a price on there. £2.25. That is not typical of a price you would pay for a fountain pen. Now they seem to be much dearer, and of course they're not always working. What you're getting is more or less something which could be repairable or just put into the collection like these ones are. I couldn't use all of these at once, it'd be a bit silly. Mind you, I've got a few ones of memory and sentimental value. This pen belonged to my mother. She was bought it by her husband at the time, bought in England, and obviously during the war period, and the demonstrator in the shop picked not this pen but one like this and virtually threw it across the room to prove that they were very well made. Well, okay, my father didn't have the one that was chucked across the room, but he did have this one. And it's a Parker Vacuumatic. That was the model name of it, Vacuumatic. And it had in the arrangement here, you'd fill it up by undoing the little cap at the top and pressing a little plunger down. I won't do it because of the old story. I've only got one pair of hands, and that would charge the ink up. These were, I believe, at the time quite popular, and as Parker pens, their trademark was this arrow type of clip. So that's the Parker Vacuumatic with a gold nib. I won't take all the covers off, but invariably these have got a gold nib. Now I leave the Vacuumatic. I have another one here. This, don't know whether this is actually a Vacuumatic. They made so many different models, but it's the earlier display of the clip. It's a Parker, but the clip is an earlier one, because these Parker pens are either made in the States, made over here, I believe at Dover, and possibly made in other countries. They were, needless to say, quite a popular pen. Perhaps no more than the Have a look at that one. Alright, this was a very popular range. I just check the numbers right. Yeah, this is a Parker 51 rolled gold cap. Notice the clip. These were, as I say, much sought after. I wanted one of these when I was a kid at school. Mind you, taking one of those to school probably wouldn't last very long. Would have probably got nicked. But anyway, I remember they were worked out to be about £5 at the time. Well, remember, when I was in my early teens or perhaps even pre-teens, £5 or 5 guineas, I think they were, was a lot of money. The one next to it's also a Parker 51. Then you had a Parker 61, which had a different filling method. It used, it's more like a sponge. So you'd put the nib in and capillary action would draw ink up into like a sponge. And that's how that worked. They looked more or less the same, very much the same. There's a couple of others here. There's the one with the silver lid. And another one. As I said, these were either made in the States or over here. There was subtle differences. But the Parker pen was quite a well-known pen. Other varieties was the, oh, that's not a Parker. What's that one? Yeah, there we are. I've just told a lie, haven't I? There's a Parker. And it hasn't got the arrow clip. So at some time they were made without the arrow clip. This is obviously an early one. I really don't know what I've got here and what I haven't got. I would pick these up, as I said, at various junk shops, boot sales, where the person selling them didn't have a clue what he had or what he was selling, and I probably didn't know much more at the time myself. But I picked them up for a quid here or 50 pence there, and you got what you got. This one, unfortunately, the nib is missing. It'd be a gold nib, but in this case it's missing. Whether someone took the nib out, this is often what happened. They would get a hold of a fountain pen, old one, and they'd immediately think, oh, I've got a gold nib on there, let's take the nib out. No, that is wrong. And unfortunately it reduces the value of the actual pen. I've got no idea what these are worth. If Andy's watching in, he probably could give me an idea how much they're worth. They're obviously a blooming sight more than what I paid for them. And noting the way the price of second-hand or old telephones have gone up, these presumably have gone up even faster. So a good investment, you could say. I suppose most of the stuff I buy, and that reminds me of buying, I bought the phone a couple of days ago from America. I will put it up on my program on the Telephones of the World. I think it's a fairly rare one. When I say it's rare, it's made by the Philips company for automatic electric in Canada. But more about it when I get it and when I can talk about it. But it's quite a nice phone with a very unusual dial. The dial on the picture, that was that sold it. It wasn't cheap, but it's an investment. The dial on the finger stop has got the name Siemens Brothers, which is rather interesting because Automatic Electric made their own dials, but in this case, had that been fitted later or fitted at the time? Anyway, more about that when it arrives. Back to pens. Now, who remembers, and I do, being an old so-and-so, let's see if it's the right one. Yep. Here we have a Sheaffer. Now, I won't go into the types of fillings that Sheaffers had, but to mention one of their types, it was a Sheaffer Snorkel. And the advert on TV, and I can remember it as if it was yesterday, a lady came on wearing white gloves, probably made of silk, but they were white, wearing white gloves. She also had with her a bottle of ink, which was also made by Sheaffers, called Scrip. And what the wording was, who would fill a fountain pen up wearing white gloves? And the lady then proceeded to fill the pen up by unscrewing the little end at the end of this end. This is not a, I don't think it is, because the snorkel pens were quite rare. But undoing the end and operating a lever which would draw the snorkel out, which is a little tube which came out from under the nib, that would, you'd put that into the ink, didn't even touch the nib in the ink, and you would draw up a supply of ink to replenish the pen. And that was a Sheaffer Snorkel. I don't know what year it was, possibly the 1950s, 60s, but it was shown on TV. And this girl also was had this lovely pair of white silk gloves on, and she was filling the pen up. It's surprising what my memory brings back. Anyhow, I'm not going to be talking here too long. Just a few more of the pens. I've got Waterman's. Waterman was the gentleman who invented the fountain pen, L.E. Waterman. And he actually invented the pen where you would put ink in it, and it was the fountain pen. So he invented the fountain pen. Other makers, including George Parker, improved it. And you've got other companies in this country, maybe Todd, they made the Swan pen. I think this is a Swan pen here. Yeah, that's a Swan. This is a beautiful pen. Once again, it's got that marbled effect on the plastic. I thought I got another pen that was quite large like this, but I seem to have mislaid it. Another pen here is the Burnham. Majority of these pens have got gold nibs. Reason being, gold wouldn't corrode with the effect of ink on it. But the actual tip where you write, on the paper is made of iridium, which is a fairly hard metal. So always iridium tipped. If that iridium gets damaged, then the gold part would soon wear down. So it's iridium tip. You normally see it if you've got a lens, you can look at it and see that tip. Also, going back to my school days, the pens that I can remember, they were the cheaper range, obviously made for youngsters. You had Platinum, Osmoroid, and in Rains Park, I think it was Unique, there was a pen company in Rains Park, which was very near to where I lived at the time, and they manufactured pens. I think it was called Unique. But if I'm wrong there, someone please correct me, because I can't remember everything. I'm trying to think more of things to say. A lot of the stuff, another one here, they didn't have a clip on the top, but they had two bands. I understand those bands are made of gold. So how much is that worth? And let me point out another one, which I only realised today what it was. We've got a pen here. The nib looks like just a metal nib, but I think it's white gold. And when you look at the trademark there, you know immediately it's a Mont Blanc, which is, they are very expensive pens. I don't know where I got this from. Obviously a boot sale, where someone didn't know what he was selling. What these are worth now, I don't know. The pen's okay, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a metal case. There's your clip and the Mont Blanc sign. And, oh, take it off. Show you the nib. There's the nib. There's something written on that nib. I can't say what it says, but it possibly indicates that it's white gold. So there's your nib. Anyway, I can talk for a long, long time. I'm not going to. There's some of the pens that I've picked up over the years. Remember, collecting is always good. I know I got the collecting bug from my mother. She loved antique shops. All right, unfortunately, she didn't have a long life to enjoy antiques, and I lost her when I was about 9 through heart trouble. She was virtually killed by the hospital who were supposed to be looking after her. It was a rest home called Maids Morton, and the story is that she was wheeled out, and the person, or the porter that wheeled her out, didn't cover her over because it was obviously a cold morning, and she caught a chill, and having a weak heart, which she did, she had a dodgy mitral valve. Unfortunately, she died, and as I was a kid at the time, very young kid, it was very, very hard. So, you know, had she have lived, we just don't know. But anyhow, that was, I think it was in my blood. And she also liked pussycats, and that's probably why I like pussycats. Okay, I like dogs as well. I've never had a dog, but no, that is probably why. My father was probably more down to earth. He liked seeing the odd antique. Some of the stuff he looked at it and said it'd probably be better on a bonfire. But no, it's you know, I could talk all day. I'm not going to. I love talking, as you can probably guess. This little camera's getting low on battery. It only has the battery life's not that long. But anyhow, that is the collection amongst many things I collect. And I thought it would make a little change, something to put up. You can blame Andy from Andy's Shed, because he brought up about fountain pens. And of course I had to show my knowledge or lack of knowledge by answering some of the questions. When he showed a pen, I said, that's a Parker, that's a Conway Stewart. Simply because I knew what Parkers and Conway Stewarts were like. So it was nothing extra clever there. Anyhow, I'm going to shut up now. If you want me to talk about anything else, I will. Probably guess I love talking. I'm just hoping my verging system has come back. It failed again this morning. It was only off for a short time, so obviously they have got a problem in my area. So hopefully I'll put this up on YouTube, and any comments please make. So this is just a small selection of pens which were picked up for not a lot of money. Now if you see them, they probably cost quite a bit more. But then now, enough said. Thanks again for watching. Any comments please make. And yeah, I'll get back with another video in time. I'm looking and hoping to see this new phone which I'm getting. It's the first one I bought for a high price. Well, I think it was a high price. Well, it was a kind of going price. The automatic AU40, I think it's AT40. I hate numbers, so excuse me. But it's a well-known phone, but probably not well-known, made by Philips, and it's not the Dutch Philips. It was a cable manufacturer in Ontario, Canada, and incidentally, I'm half Canadian, so perhaps got some connections there somewhere. My mother was born in Vancouver, so I am half Canadian. Unfortunately, I haven't got a Canadian passport. I perhaps regret never getting one. But that, as they say, is another story. So, yeah, we'll wait and see. So when that phone arrives, we'll have a look and put the cost down to an investment. Some people put money in the bank. Other people put it in antiques. Some people drink it. Some people gamble it. Thank God I never fell into those traps. My drink I have is a cup of tea. So, I certainly don't gamble. I wouldn't know how to. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. So once again, thanks for watching. Thank you.